To back the pitching of Corbin Burns, who won his 15th game of the year as the Orioles beat the Tigers 7-1. Burns threw 7 shutout innings, striking out 8 as the Orioles keep their wild card lead intact.
We've had runs like this second half where we kind of sputter a little bit. So it's important for us to kind of keep our head down, not worry about what everyone else is doing, keep playing good baseball, and if we play like we did tonight, we're going to be right.
Anthony Santander also homered a 2-run shot in the first inning off Tigers opener Tyler Holton. It was Santander's 43rd of the season. Trey Sweeney had an RBI single to account for the Tigers' lone run.
And a big night at bat helps the Astros get closer to the postseason. This report from correspondent Adam Spillane.
Kyle Tucker finished 4 for 5 with a homer in the Astros' 9-7 win over the Angels. The win keeps Houston's lead for the AL West at 5 games, and it drops their magic number to 4.
No, I just think overall, I think we saw the ball pretty well and put together good at-bats, and I think that kind of just stemmed throughout the lineup. So, we did a pretty good job of that tonight, just trying to get on base and put the barrel on the ball, so I just kind of fed off everyone else.
Yainer Diaz collected 3 hits for Houston, while Alex Bregman and Jake Myers hit home runs and finished with 3 RBIs. Mauricio Dubon chipped in 2 hits. Kevin Pillar hit a home run for the Angels. Eric Wagaman went 3 for 4, scored 2 runs, and drove home a pair.
Elsewhere around baseball, the Rays need just a solo homer from Jonathan Aranda to blank the Blue Jays 1-0. 3 12th-inning runs give the Twins a 4-2 win over the Red Sox. Julio Rodriguez homers twice to help the Mariners beat up the Rangers 8-2. Juan Soto's pinch hit 10th-inning double leads the Yankees to a 4-2 victory over the A's. The Cubs get a 3-1 win over the Nationals. The Reds use a 4-run third and a 3-run fourth to pull away from the Pirates 8-3. A 3-run first inning helped spur the Marlins to a 4-3 decision over the Braves. Lourdes Gurriel Jr.'s solo homer in the 6th breaks a 4-4 tie and gives the Diamondbacks a 7-4 victory over the Brewers. The Giants double up the Royals 2-1. The Dodgers get a 6-4 win over the Rockies, and a walk-off RBI double by Fernando Tatis Jr. in the 10th gives the Padres a 3-2 walk-off victory over the White Sox. For Chicago, that's loss number 118 on the year. Joel Embiid gets a new deal from the Sixers. George Kittle could miss Sunday's game for the Niners, and one of the top cornerbacks will miss the rest of the college football season. That and more is coming up after this. The 76ers have ensured that Joel Embiid is going to stick around. Embiid posted a photo on social media Friday, signing a contract with team owner Josh Harris. A source tells the AP that Embiid and the team has agreed to a 3-year extension worth almost $193 million to stay in Philadelphia. The 30-year-old was the league's most valuable player in 2023 and has made All-NBA 5 times in his career. In the NFL, the 49ers are already without running back Christian McCaffrey and wide receiver Deebo Samuel, and now they may also not have tight end George Kittle when they take on the Rams Sunday. Kittle missed practice both Thursday and Friday with a hamstring injury and is listed as doubtful to play in the game. Elsewhere, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says quarterback Jordan Love will be a game-time decision with the sprained knee that kept him out of Green Bay's Week 2 win over the Colts, while Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert says his status for Sunday's game against the Steelers is yet to be decided. Herbert has a high right ankle sprain. In college football, it took overtime, but number 24 Illinois gets a road win to start its Big Ten Conference season, getting a 31-24 victory over 22nd-ranked Nebraska. Luke Altmaier threw for 4 touchdowns in the game, including one to Pat Bryant in the first overtime period. The Illini improved to 4-0 overall. The Cornhuskers are 3-1. And East Carolina defensive back Shavon Ravel Jr., considered one of the top cornerback prospects, will miss the rest of the 2024 season after tearing the ACL in his left knee this week in practice. Ravel, widely considered a first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft, has had 11 pass breakups and 2 defensive touchdowns since the start of 2023, including a 50-yard pick 6 in his last game against Appalachian State. Steve Carney, AP Sports.
Fernando Tatis Jr.'s RBI double leading off the bottom of the 10th inning gave the San Diego Padres a 3-2 walk-off win over the Chicago White Sox. San Diego was 1 out away from victory when Lenyn Sosa hit a 2-run homer off Padres closer Robert Suarez, tying the game at 2. Tatis hit an 0-1 slider into the right center field gap, scoring pinch runner Brandon Lockridge with the winning run.
Didn't have none of the result that I wanted since the beginning, but that's when you become really hard-headed and you stay in the game. You stay and you just wait for that moment. Then in baseball, if you really stay in it, the game will reward you. no matter what.
The win keeps the Padres 2 games ahead of the Arizona Diamondbacks for the top National League wildcard spot and lowered their magic number to clinch a playoff berth to 3. Philip Gahn, San Diego.
Shohei Ohtani now has 52 home runs and 52 stolen bases after getting one of each in the Dodgers' 6-4 downing of the Rockies. It's the 14th time Ohtani has had a homer and a stolen base in the same game this season, breaking a Major League record. Teoscar Hernandez put LA ahead with a 6th-inning homer, making it 4-3. It was Hernandez's 30th homer in what has become a rebound season.
Last year I had a lot of downs at the beginning of the season, but my goal is just to stay healthy and do the little things that the teams need me to do to help the team.
Hernandez added an infield single that scored Ohtani with the Dodgers' final run. Alex Vesia got the win with 1 inning of relief. Michael Kopech got the save, and Kyle Freeland took the loss. I'm Dave Ferry. The Yankees beat the A's 4-2 in 10 innings to keep New York 4 games ahead of the Orioles atop the AL East. Garrett Cole limited Oakland to a run and 2 hits over 9 innings, striking out 7 and walking 1.
You just got to, keep doing what's been working, stay on the attack, and keep throwing strikes. You don't want to give any momentum away by not throwing strikes.
But he was in line for a no decision until the Bombers scored 3 times in the 10th, beginning with a pass ball by Shea Langoliers. Juan Soto came off the bench to add an RBI double, and Anthony Volpe provided a run-scoring single. Soto was kept out of the starting lineup with a sore right leg. Luke Weaver allowed an RBI single in the 10th before striking out his final 3 hitters. I'm Dave Ferry.
Julio Rodriguez homered twice, drove in 5 runs to lead the Seattle Mariners to an 8-2 win over the Texas Rangers. So the Mariners remain 2 games behind Minnesota for the final AL wildcard spot and 5 games behind Houston for the AL West title with 8 games left. Rodriguez with his 4th multi-homer game of his career. His 3-run blast in the 5th off loser Jack Leiter put Seattle ahead for good and says he's feeling good at the plate.
I feel on time, putting good swings on the baseball and just trying to make good solid contact, and that's been working. It's been working good.
George Kirby pitched 6 innings of 5-hit 2-run ball to get his 13th win of the season. Kirby now 7-0 against Texas in his career. Josh Rojas also homered for Seattle. Bob Stevens, Arlington, Texas.
Kyle Tucker finished 4 for 5 with a homer in the Astros' 9-7 win over the Angels. The win keeps Houston's lead for the AL West at 5 games, and it drops their magic number to 4.
Overall, I think we saw the ball pretty well and put together good at-bats, and I think that kind of just stemmed throughout the lineup. So, we did a pretty good job of that tonight, just trying to get on base and put the barrel on the ball, so I just kind of fed off everyone else.
Yainer Diaz collected 3 hits for Houston, while Alex Bregman and Jake Myers hit home runs and finished with 3 RBIs. Mauricio Dubon chipped in 2 hits. Kevin Pillar hit a home run for the Angels. Eric Wagaman went 3 for 4, scored 2 runs, and drove home a pair. Adam Spillane, Houston.
Kansas City's current 5-game skid isn't the result of bad starting pitching. Royals starter Michael Wacha was touched for an infield scratch hit in the 1st and an RBI single through the right side hole in the 6th in their 2-1 loss to the San Francisco Giants.
We got a really good lineup that, I still believe in them and that they're going to get the job done. And, that's our job to go out there and, like I said, just throw zeros and limit anything on their end.
The 2-out single to Patrick Bailey in the 6th was the last batter Wacha faced. The Royals failed to push a run across against Giants starter Mason Black, who went 5 2/3 innings. Greg Eklund, Kansas City.
Julio Rodriguez homered twice, drove in 5 runs to lead the Seattle Mariners to an 8-2 win over the Texas Rangers. So the Mariners remain 2 games behind Minnesota for the final AL wildcard spot and 5 games behind Houston for the AL West title with 8 games left. Rodriguez with his 4th multi-homer game of his career. His 3-run blast in the 5th off loser Jack Leiter put Seattle ahead for good and says he's feeling good at the plate. George Kirby pitched 6 innings of 5-hit 2-run ball to get his 13th win of the season. Kirby now 7-0 against Texas in his career. Josh Rojas also homered for Seattle. Bob Stevens, Arlington, Texas.
The Twins rallied late to force extra innings and scored 3 in the 12th to beat the Red Sox 4-2 and pick up a game on the Tigers in the process. Minnesota moved a full game ahead of Detroit for the 3rd and final AL wildcard spot with the win. Twins manager Rocco Baldelli.
That was incredibly impressive and gutsy and come up with all the words, but you feel it watching that game. We felt it in the dugout the whole game. It was a very intense, tight, good game.
Trevor Larnach's tie-breaking infield single in the 12th plated the winning run. Carlos Correa's RBI groundout in the 7th tied it at 1. Minnesota starter David Festa tossed 5 innings of 1-run ball with 6 strikeouts. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Jurors have begun deliberations in the trial of Ahmad Alisa, a mentally ill man who killed 10 people at a Boulder, Colorado supermarket in March of 2021. Prosecutors say Alisa was legally sane and knew the difference between right and wrong, pointing out that he chose a semi-automatic pistol, steel-piercing bullets, and an optic sight to help him kill as many people as possible. No one disputes Alisa was the shooter, but jurors could find him not guilty by reason of insanity. Alisa has schizophrenia and told state psychologists he heard voices that were yelling in his head. He faces 10 counts of first-degree murder, multiple counts of attempted murder, and other offenses, including the possession of high-capacity magazines banned in Colorado. Survivors testified about how they fled, hid among the groceries, and helped others to safety. Everyone he shot died in the attack. I'm Jennifer King.
AP News, I'm Mike Hempen. GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump is back in North Carolina, stumping in the state that both Democrats and Republicans view as increasingly critical to victory in November. Trump says voters supporting him will notice a difference in their finances.
It means the price of household goods will start to plummet, groceries and rent will no longer break your budgets, and you will have thousands of dollars of savings by the end of the year.
While Trump campaigned in Wilmington, Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz held a rally in Allentown, Pennsylvania, saying the GOP ticket of Trump and J.D. Vance wants to choke off access to abortion, making them a threat to women's freedoms.
These are young mothers. These are people wanting families. Whether they want a family or not, it's none of their damn business. But they keep talking about how pro-family they are. You know what? Spend a little less time trying to ban books in our schools and try and ban assault weapons in our schools.
President Biden is hosting the leaders of Australia, Japan, and India today at the Quad Summit in Delaware. The president says they're planning changes that will have a positive impact on the Indo-Pacific.
That includes providing new maritime technologies to our regional partners so they know what's happening in their waters. Launching cooperation between Coast Guards for the first time, and expanding the Quad Fellowship to include students from Southeast Asia.
The weekend summit is the 6th overall gathering of the leaders since 2021. Israel's military says a top Hezbollah leader was among those killed in an Israeli airstrike on a Beirut apartment block. Lebanese officials have raised the death toll from Friday's strike to 37, including 7 women and 3 children. As rescue crews searched the building's rubble for survivors Saturday, Israel and Hezbollah continued to trade fire. This is AP News. Alec Baldwin is urging a judge to stand by the dismissal of his involuntary manslaughter case.
Alec Baldwin does not want to go through a repeat of his manslaughter trial.
Your motion to dismiss with prejudice is granted.
It was dismissed in July after the judge found prosecutors and police withheld evidence from Baldwin's defense. He and his lawyers are urging the New Mexico judge to stand by her original decision. Prosecutors want her to reconsider retrial in the 2021 fatal shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, arguing there were insufficient facts and Baldwin's due process rights had not been violated. The actor was pointing a gun at Hutchins during rehearsal for Rust when it went off. Baldwin said he pulled back the hammer, not the trigger, and the revolver fired. The movie's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter for allowing live ammo on set. I'm Julie Walker.
I'm Mike Hempen, AP News.
My baby.
Serpentini Chevrolet is Ohio's #1 Chevy dealer. With over 1,500 new and used vehicles in 6 convenient locations, we are the home for all your sales, service, and collision repair needs. Go to Serpentini.com to find the location nearest you. Together, let's drive.
United Nations headquarters in New York, where the General Assembly takes place, a state-of-the-art security post dubbed the Brain Center hums with activity. The U.S. Secret Service's Patrick Freeney says they're ready to protect more than 140 world leaders.
This is the largest annual gathering of global leaders on the planet.
UN Inspector Melinda McCormick says they have an extensive system to keep leaders safe.
We screened during the high-level period up to 22,000 delegate staff and non-UN entities per day, 22,000. That is a high number. Then cameras, which we'll go into a little bit of detail more. We have over 1,400 cameras.
And the NYPD says there are no credible threats at this point. Julie Walker, New York.
Third-ranked Ohio State rolled up 569 total yards and coasted to a 49-14 win over Marshall. Will Howard was 16 of 20 passing for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception, with Emeka Ibuka making 5 catches for 117 yards and a score.
I think my 2 touchdown passes were a screen and a slant today, and they were both for over 45 to 68 yards. It's awesome.
Quinshon Judkins provided 173 of the Buckeyes' 280 rushing yards, including an 86-yard scoring burst.
Definitely felt pretty good. I turned around a little bit to see if I had a flag on the play, but I was definitely super excited.
Judkins had 2 rushing TDs. Travion Henderson added a 40-yard run for one of his 2 touchdowns for the 3-0 Buckeyes. I'm Dave Ferry.
I'm Julie Walker. Catherine Crosby, who appeared in movies like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Anatomy of a Murder, and Operation Red Ball, before marrying famed singer and Oscar-winning actor Bing Crosby, has died at age 90.
I can't remember a worse December. Just watch those icicles fall.
A family spokesperson says she died of natural causes at her home in Northern California on Friday. She married Bing Crosby in 1957 when she was 23 and he was 54. Catherine Crosby curtailed her acting career after the wedding, but appeared with her husband and 3 children on his Christmas TV specials and in Minute Maid orange juice commercials.
I'm Ben Thomas with an AP News Minute. A new poll suggests what has been a clear strength for Donald Trump is now essentially a political jump ball as the November election approaches. Sagar Meghani has the findings.
An AP NORC Center for Public Affairs Research survey finds neither Trump nor Kamala Harris has a decisive edge on the economy.
They come here illegally, crossing our southern border. Then Sherrod Brown rolls out the welcome mat for them here in Ohio. Brown voted to give amnesty to 11 million illegal immigrants, including those convicted of crimes like drunk driving, aggravated assault, and child abuse. And Sherrod Brown voted 10 times to protect sanctuary cities in Ohio, which released dangerous illegals back onto the street, making Ohio's neighborhoods less safe. And while we struggle to make ends meet, Sherrod Brown is voting to give illegals taxpayer-funded benefits, like health care for illegals granted amnesty, Social Security, COVID relief checks, even a program to fly Haitian migrants into Ohio airports, all paid for by you, the taxpayer. You think you know Sherrod Brown? Well, after 31 years in Washington, Sherrod Brown's way too liberal for Ohio. American Crossroads paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. AmericanCrossroads.org.
Alec Baldwin does not want to go through a repeat of his manslaughter trial.
Your motion to dismiss with prejudice is granted.
It was dismissed in July after the judge found prosecutors and police withheld evidence from Baldwin's defense. He and his lawyers are urging the New Mexico judge to stand by her original decision. Prosecutors want her to reconsider retrial in the 2021 fatal shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, arguing there were insufficient facts and Baldwin's due process rights had not been violated. The actor was pointing a gun at Hutchins during rehearsal for Rust when it went off. Baldwin said he pulled back the hammer, not the trigger, and the revolver fired. The movie's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter for allowing live ammo on set. I'm Julie Walker. Boeing is replacing the CEO of its defense and space business. The unit saddled with money-losing government contracts and embarrassing failures by its Starliner space capsule, which had to leave astronauts at the International Space Station and return to Earth empty. Boeing said Friday Ted Colbert is out, and the division's COO, Steve Parker, is in temporarily while the search is on for a permanent replacement. Since the start of 2022, the Defense and Space Division has lost $6 billion, slightly more than Boeing's airplane business. I'm Julie Walker. California Governor Gavin Newsom signs a law making it illegal for social media platforms to knowingly provide addictive feeds to children without parental consent. The legislation will take effect in 2027. The policies are part of a growing push in states across the country to try to address the impacts of social media on the well-being of children. New York State passed a law earlier this year allowing parents to block their kids from getting social media posts suggested by a platform's algorithm. State attorneys general recently sent a letter to Congress asking them to require warning labels on social media platforms. I'm Julie Walker.
I'm Walter Ratliff with the Religion Minute. Haitians in Ohio find solidarity at church after a chaotic week of false pet-eating claims. AP's Donna Warder has more.
Pastor Carl Ruby of the Central Christian Church invited members of the Haitian community to his church on Sunday.
The Bible is very clear on our...
I'm going to cast my vote for Vice President Harris.
But that doesn't mean he agrees with every issue.